The ship called Horizon moved slowly toward the biggest space station anyone had ever built. Captain Taiho stood at the front window and watched as Station Prime grew larger and larger. It was a massive ring of metal and glass, spinning gently in the darkness of space. Lights blinked from 1,000 windows. Ships of every shape and size floated around it like fish around a reef. "This is it," Taiho said quietly. 3 months of travel, and we're finally here. Behind him, Dr. Yuna checked her notes for the 100th time. She was the team's expert on alien life, though until now, she had only studied theories. Today, she would meet real aliens for the first time. Her hands were shaking a little. "Do you think they'll like us?" she asked. Lieutenant Minho laughed from his seat near the door. He was a big man with broad shoulders and a kind smile. His job was to keep everyone safe, but he hoped he wouldn't need to do much of that today. "Why wouldn't they like us?" "We brought gifts. We're being polite." "What's not to like?" Ambassador Hannah walked into the room. She wore a simple dark suit and carried herself with calm confidence. She was Earth's first official representative to the galaxy, and she took that job very seriously. "They don't know us yet," she said. "That's the problem. We're strangers. And strangers can be scary." The Horizon received permission to dock. The crew felt a gentle bump as the ship connected to Station Prime. For a moment, everyone was silent. Then the door opened, and they stepped into a new world. The corridor was wide and tall, made of some white material that seemed to glow from inside. The air smelled strange, like flowers and metal mixed together. And everywhere they looked, there were aliens. Taiho had seen pictures, of course. Earth had been watching the galaxy's signals for years before making contact. But pictures were nothing like the real thing. Creatures of every shape moved through the corridor. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4, some on 6. Some floated. Some slithered. One creature seemed to be made entirely of light, and all of them stopped to stare at the humans. YUNA noticed something interesting. Many of the aliens seemed delicate. One species had skin so thin she could see their organs moving inside. Another had legs like thin glass sticks. A third was wrapped in a protective bubble, as if the normal air was dangerous to them. "They're so fragile," she whispered to Minho. "Maybe we just look weird to them," he replied. But he noticed it too. These aliens didn't look like survivors. They looked like they had never needed to survive anything at all. A small floating robot appeared in front of them. It spoke in a pleasant voice. "Welcome, human delegation. The council is ready to receive you. Please follow me." They walked for 10 minutes through winding corridors. More aliens stopped to watch them pass. Whispers followed them like shadows. Yuna caught a few words in the translator. New species, uncharted sector, strange bodies. Finally, they reached a massive door. It slid open, and they entered the council chamber. Taiho had seen big rooms before. He had stood in stadiums and concert halls and government buildings. But this was something else entirely. The chamber was a perfect circle, stretching up so high that the ceiling disappeared into darkness. Thousands of seats rose in rings around a central platform, and every seat was filled, 4,000 species. 4,000 different kinds of life, all of them looking down at 4 humans standing in the center. "Don't be nervous," Hannah said, though she was talking to herself as much as anyone else. "This is just a formality. They read our planet's data, we give our speech, and we become members of the Federation." Simple. A creature made of living crystal floated down from the highest seat. This was Counselor Vel, the head of the Galactic Council. He was ancient, his body filled with cracks that glowed with soft light. When he spoke, his voice was like wind chimes. "Humanity," he said. "You have traveled far to reach us. We welcome you to the Galactic Council. Today, you take your first step into a larger community." Hannah bowed her head respectfully. "Thank you, Counselor. We are honored to be here." Before any species can join the Federation, Vel continued, "we must complete the standard process. Your planet must be classified so that we may understand your origins." "This is tradition." "Of course," Hannah said. "We have nothing to hide." A new alien entered the chamber. This one was covered in soft feathers of silver and gold. He walked slowly, carrying an ancient tablet in his thin fingers. This was Archivist Quill, the keeper of planetary records. His job was simple: read the data, file the report, move on to the next species. He had done this thousands of times. It was boring work, honestly. Quill reached the central platform and bowed to the council. I will now read the classification report for the planet called Earth, homeworld of the species called humanity. He looked down at his tablet. The data appeared on the screen, and then something strange happened. Quill's feathers stood straight up. His eyes went wide. He made a small sound like a bird being stepped on. Archivist? Counselor Vell asked. Is something wrong? Quill didn't answer. He was reading the numbers again. And again. His feathers were shaking now. This must be an error, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. I need to verify this data. What error? Hannah asked. She looked at her team. Taiho shrugged. Yuna looked confused. Minho just watched. Please verify, Quill said into his tablet. A moment passed. The tablet beeped. Verified, it said. Quill verified it again. And again. Each time, the answer was the same. The chamber was completely silent now. 4,000 species waited. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Counselor Vell floated closer. Archivist Quill. Read the report. Quill looked up at the council. His feathers had gone flat against his body. His eyes were filled with something the humans didn't recognize at first. It was fear, Counselor, he said, his voice trembling. With respect, perhaps we should discuss this privately first. Read the report, Vell repeated. His voice was harder now. Quill swallowed. He looked down at his tablet one more time. Then he looked at the 4 humans standing calmly in the center of the chamber. Such small creatures. Such soft skin. Such strange, forward-facing eyes, he had no idea what he was looking at. None of them did, but they were about to find out. Very well, Quill said. He took a deep breath. The classification report for Earth. Section 1. Planetary gravity. Guessed. His hands were shaking. The humans waited politely, still not understanding why everyone looked so afraid. And in that moment, just before the first word was spoken, the galaxy changed forever. Archivist Quill held the tablet with both hands to stop them from shaking. The entire council chamber was silent. 4,000 species waited to hear what had scared him so badly. Section 1, Quill began. His voice cracked. Planetary gravity. Earth registers at 1.0 on the galactic standard scale. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the whispers started. Ambassador Hannah leaned toward Dr. Yuna. Is that bad? Yuna thought about it. 1G is just ... normal. It's what we live in every day. But the aliens didn't think it was normal at all. A tall creature with 6 legs spoke up from the crowd. 1.0. That's crushing force. How do they stand upright? Their bones would have to be incredibly dense, another alien said. Their muscles must be like cables, said a third. Quill continued reading. His voice was getting higher with each word. Section 2. Atmospheric composition. Earth's atmosphere is a nitrogen mixture. The chamber erupted. Creatures screamed. Some covered their breathing holes. A small purple alien actually fell out of its seat. Oxygen. Someone shouted, They breathe oxygen. Captain Taiho blinked. What's wrong with oxygen? A nearby alien turned to look at him with horror in its many eyes. Oxygen is one of the most dangerous gases in the universe. It causes fire. It corrodes metal. It destroys organic tissue over time. We call it the slow death gas, another added. Lieutenant Minho scratched his head. But we need it to live. It's only made things worse. The screaming got louder. Counselor Vell raised his crystalline arms. Order in the chamber. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. Continue, Archivist. Quill looked like he wanted to run away, but he kept reading. Section 3. Hydrosphere. Earth's surface is 71% covered in water. Liquid dihydrogen monoxide. Creature that looked like a floating jellyfish began to cry. Actual tears floated away from its body. A water world. It sobbed. They come from a water world. Hana was starting to understand now. You're afraid of water? Water is a universal solvent. The jellyfish wailed. It dissolves almost everything. It falls from your sky? You swim in it? You drink it? Yes, Hannah said simply. The jellyfish fainted. Medical drones rushed to help it. A thin, insect-like alien named Delegate Romo stood up. He was shaking so hard his wings were buzzing. This is too much. These creatures live in poison gas, under crushing gravity, surrounded by acid. What kind of monsters are they? We're not monsters, Yuna said gently. We're just people. Keep reading, Counselor Vel ordered. His voice was quieter now. Even he looked disturbed, Quill continued. Section 4. Stellar Radiation. Earth orbits a G-type main sequence star. The surface receives continuous ultraviolet radiation at dangerous levels. Their sun is trying to kill them, someone whispered. The radiation causes cellular damage and mutation, Quill read. Earth species have developed protective measures. However, humans also engage in recreational exposure to this radiation. They call it ... sunbathing. Dead silence. Then a small alien in the front row spoke. They lie in the killing light. For fun? Minho shrugged. It feels nice. Makes your skin warm. The small alien passed out. Quill's feathers were completely flat now. He looked like a wet bird. Section 5. Native Life Forms. Biodiversity Threat Assessment. He paused. His beak clicked nervously. Earth contains an estimated 8.7 million species. Competition for resources is extreme. Predators exist in every environment. Large carnivores include wolves, bears, large cats, and sharks. Pictures appeared on screens around the chamber. A great white shark with its mouth open. A tiger running through grass. A bear standing on its back legs. Aliens screamed and covered their eyes. What are those? Romo shrieked. Those are some of our animals, Taiho said. Your world is filled with killing machines. Quill kept reading. His voice was now barely a whisper. Humans have domesticated several apex predators. They keep these creatures in their homes as ... companions. A picture of a dog appeared on screen. A golden retriever, tongue out, looking happy. This is a domesticated wolf, Quill said. You keep predators as pets? Vel asked. For the first time, his calm voice had a crack in it. Dogs are nice, Minho said. They like belly rubs. No one knew what belly rubs were, but they were too afraid to ask. The report also lists venomous creatures, Quill continued. Snakes, spiders, scorpions, jellyfish, and certain frogs. Humans share living space with these animals. And parasites, he added. Creatures that live inside other creatures and eat them from within. Yuna nodded. We have medicine for those now. This was not comforting to anyone. Section 6. Natural Disasters. Quill was reading faster now, like he wanted this to be over. Earth experiences regular, catastrophic events. Earthquakes that destroy cities. Volcanic eruptions that block the sun. Hurricanes with winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Tsunamis, floods, wildfires, blizzards, and tornadoes. Your planet is trying to kill you in every possible way, Vel said. Pretty much, Taiho agreed. And yet you survived. We're still here. Quill reached the final section. His hands were shaking so badly, the tablet almost fell. Section 7. Final Classification. The chamber held its breath. Based on all measured factors, Earth receives a Deathworld rating of ... Stopped. He couldn't say it. What is the rating? Vel demanded. Quill closed his eyes. 12.4, chamber exploded. Aliens ran in every direction. Some flew, some crawled, some teleported. Seats were knocked over, screens shattered. Security alarms started blaring. Medical teams rushed to help the dozens of aliens who had fainted. 12.4? Romo was screaming as he ran. The scale only goes to 10. How is it 12.4? The previous record was 8.7. Someone else yelled. And that planet was empty. Nothing survived there. Counselor Vell floated in the chaos, his crystal body flickering with stress. He looked down at the four humans, who were still standing calmly in the center of the chamber. They weren't running. They weren't screaming. They just stood there, looking confused. Ambassador Hannah raised her hand politely, like a student in a classroom. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "Excuse me," she said. "Is something wrong?" Vell stared at her. This small creature from a world of poison and fire and death, this thing that breathed corrosive gas and swam in acid and lived under crushing gravity. This being that kept predators as pets and played in radiation, she was asking if something was wrong. In that moment, Counselor Vell understood something terrible. Humans didn't know they were frightening. They had no idea that they were the most terrifying things the galaxy had ever seen. To them, this was all just normal, and that, Vell realized, was the scariest part of all. The humans were placed in special quarters on the far side of Station Prime. It wasn't a prison, the council said. It was just a temporary holding area while they verified the data. But armed guards floated outside their door at all times. "They're scared of us," Una said, looking out the window at the stars. Really genuinely scared. Captain Taiho sat on a couch that was too soft for his taste. Everything in the room was soft. The chairs, the beds, the floors. It was like living inside a pillow. Can you blame them? To them, we're monsters from a nightmare planet. But we're not monsters, Minho said. He was doing push-ups in the corner. The floor sank several inches every time he went down. We're just regular people. Ambassador Hannah was reading reports on a borrowed tablet. That's exactly the problem. We think we're regular. They think we're impossible. The council had requested interviews with each human. They wanted to understand how anything could survive on a world like Earth. So over the next few days, scientists from across the galaxy came to study the strange visitors. Dr. Una was interviewed first. The alien scientists set up their equipment and asked her to sit in a special chair. They scanned her body with machines that hummed and beeped. "Your skeletal structure is remarkable," one scientist said. He was a small creature covered in blue fur. "The density of your bones, ... It's like you're made of stone, really," Una said. "They feel pretty normal to me." "And your muscles. The fiber composition. You could lift objects many times your body weight," Una shrugged. "I mean, I go to the gym sometimes." The blue scientist made a note. Then he asked, "Have you ever been injured?" "Sure," Una said. "When I was 10, I fell out of a tree and broke my arm." The scientists stopped writing. They looked at each other. "You broke your skeletal structure?" One asked carefully. "Yes, it hurt a lot." "And then what happened?" Una thought about it. "I went to the hospital. They put a cast on it. After a few weeks, it healed." Silence. Complete silence. It ... healed. The blue scientist whispered. "Your bone repaired itself." "That's what bones do," Una said. "Doesn't everyone's?" The scientists had to take a break. Several of them needed to sit down. One needed medical attention. Later, they learned that most galactic species could not repair damage like humans could. A broken bone meant permanent disability. A deep cut could be fatal. The idea that humans could heal from injuries that would kill other species was almost too much to believe. Lieutenant Minho's examination was even more disturbing to the alien scientists. They measured his heart rate. 60 beats per minute at rest, the medical officer said. "That's incredibly slow. How are you still alive?" "That's healthy for a human," Minho explained. They measured his temperature. 37 degrees? Your blood is hot enough to cause burns. That's also normal. Out. They studied his eyes. Forward-facing binocular vision. These are the eyes of a predator. "You evolved to hunt," Minho smiled. "My ancestors were persistence hunters. We would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Humans can outrun almost any animal over long distances." The medical officer dropped his instruments. "You hunted by refusing to stop?" You just kept coming until your prey died of fear and exhaustion. Pretty much. The medical officer excused himself. He did not return the next day. Council requested visual evidence of Earth. They needed to see this death world for themselves. Captain Taiho contacted Earth and arranged a live video feed. The council chamber was quiet as the screens flickered to life. Thousands of aliens watched as images of Earth appeared before them. The first video showed a beach. Humans in minimal clothing walked on sand near the water. Waves crashed against the shore. Children ran in and out of the surf, laughing. "They're playing in the universal solvent," Delegate Romo whispered. "The children are playing in it." The second video showed a city, Seoul, to be specific. Millions of humans moved through crowded streets. Cars and buses filled the roads. People walked within arm's reach of complete strangers. The population density, an alien gasped. How did they not attack each other? There are so many predators in one place. The third video showed humans eating. A family sat around a table covered in dishes. They were eating kimchi, spicy soup, and grilled meat. What is that red substance? Counselor Vel asked. Capsaicin, Yuna explained. It comes from peppers. It creates a burning sensation in the mouth. Burning. It causes pain? Yes. We think it tastes good. Several aliens had to leave the chamber. The fourth video showed something that confused the aliens completely. A marathon. Tens of thousands of humans running through city streets for hours without stopping. What are they running from? Someone asked. Nothing, Hannah said. They're doing it for fun. It's a sport. They run for fun. For hours? Until their bodies fail? Some people run even longer distances. We have races that are 100 miles long. No one spoke. Some aliens were crying. Others had gone completely still, unable to process what they were seeing. The final video showed a thunderstorm. Dark clouds covered the sky. Lightning flashed. Thunder roared so loud it shook the camera. Rain fell in heavy sheets, flooding the streets, and in the middle of it all, a small child stood in a puddle, splashing and laughing. The child is happy, Counselor Vel said slowly. Your world is trying to destroy her with electricity and falling acid, and she is happy. Kids love rain, Minho said with a smile. It's fun to splash in puddles. The screens went dark. The chamber was silent for a long time. Finally, Counselor Vel descended to where Ambassador Hannah stood. His crystal body flickered with colors that might have been emotions. He was very old, and he had seen many species join the galaxy. But he had never seen anything like this. Ambassador, he said quietly, so only she could hear. I must be honest with you. My people are afraid. They are very, very afraid. Hannah nodded slowly. I understand. We must seem like nightmares to you. You do, Vel admitted. And yet, you have been nothing but kind. You have answered every question with patience. You have not threatened anyone. You even brought gifts. You didn't come here to scare anyone, Hannah said. We came because we spent thousands of years looking up at the stars and wondering if anyone else was out there. We were lonely, Counselor. We just wanted to meet our neighbors. Vel was silent for a moment. You survived a world that should have killed you. You could have become conquerors, destroyers. Why didn't you? Hannah smiled sadly. We tried that, actually. For a long time, we hurt each other. We fought wars and did terrible things, but we learned. Slowly, painfully, we learned that there had to be a better way. She looked up at the thousands of aliens watching from their seats. We're not here to conquer. We're here to make friends. That's all we've ever wanted. Vel looked at her for a long time. Then he floated back toward his seat in his private chambers. General Tav reviewed the military projections. If humanity ever turned hostile, his calculations showed. There was nothing the galaxy could do to stop them. He saved the file and labeled it. Most important document in galactic history. Then he sat in the darkness and wondered what the future would bring. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began on the 5th day. Every seat was filled. Every screen was broadcasting to 1 billion worlds. The question before them was simple. Should humanity be allowed to join the galactic community? The debate was not going well. Delegate Romo was the first to speak against humanity. He stood on his thin legs, his wings buzzing with nervous energy. Fellow council members, we have all seen the evidence. We have all watched the videos. These creatures come from a world so hostile that our scientists thought the data was fake. They breathe poison. They drink acid. They walk under crushing gravity like it's nothing. He pointed toward the human delegation, who sat quietly in their designated area. They keep apex predators as household companions. They eat capsaicin for pleasure. They run until their bodies break, and they call it a sport. And now they want to join us? To walk among us. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. I say we cannot take this risk, Romo continued. History teaches us that powerful species become dangerous species. What happens when these Deathworlders decide they want more? What happens when they realize we are weak compared to them? I vote to quarantine Earth permanently. For the safety of the galaxy, many delegates applauded. Ambassador Hannah kept her face calm, but her heart was sinking. This was going badly. Another delegate rose to speak. This one was a tall, thin being made of living smoke. I agree with Delegate Romo. But I go further. These humans are too dangerous to simply quarantine. We should consider a preemptive strike. Destroy their fleet. Contain the threat before it spreads. Now Captain Taiho stood up. His voice was hard. You would attack us? We came here in peace. We brought gifts and friendship. And you would answer with violence? You are the violence. The smoke being hissed. Your entire existence is violence. You evolved on a world of death. Violence is in your blood. The chamber erupted in arguing voices. Some agreed with the smoke being. Others thought that was going too far. General Tav sat in his military section, watching everything with careful eyes. Counselor Vell raised his arms for silence. It took several minutes to calm the room. This is not productive, he said. We must make a decision based on evidence, not fear. The evidence supports fear. Romo shouted. Look at them. They're built like weapons. Then let us hear from the weapons themselves, Vell said. He turned to the human section. Ambassador Hannah, you have requested the chance to address this council. You may speak now. Hannah stood. She was smaller than many of the aliens in the room, softer looking, less impressive. But when she walked to the central platform, something in her bearing made people stop and pay attention. She stood alone in the center of the chamber. 4,000 species looked down at her. Most of them thought she was a monster. Many wanted her dead. She took a deep breath and began to speak. You're right about us, she said. The chamber went silent. This was not what they expected. Everything you said is true. Our world is dangerous. Our bodies are built for survival in extreme conditions. Our ancestors were hunters. We have violence in our history. She paused. But that's not the whole story. Hannah looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as she could. Yes, we come from a death world. But we didn't choose that. We were born on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Earthquakes destroyed our cities. Diseases killed millions. We fought against our world, and we fought against each other. Her voice grew stronger. We made terrible mistakes. We had wars that killed millions of our own kind. We built weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We hurt each other in ways I am ashamed to describe. She'll let that sink in. But here's what matters. We stopped. We looked at what we were becoming, and we chose a different path. It took centuries. It took countless failures. But slowly, painfully, we learned. We learned that strength without kindness is just cruelty. We learned that power without wisdom leads to destruction. We learned that the hardest thing in the universe is not survival. The hardest thing is choosing to be good when being cruel would be easier. She stepped forward. You see monsters when you look at us? But we see ourselves differently. We see survivors. We see people who went through hell and came out the other side, still reaching for something better. Dr. Yuna stood up from the human section. She was holding a small container. If I may, Ambassador. Hannah nodded. Una walked to the center and held up the container. This is a medicine we developed from snake venom. Snakes are one of the venomous creatures that share our world. Their poison can kill. But we studied that poison and we found something amazing. She pressed a button and data appeared on screens around the chamber. This compound can cure Velotion wasting syndrome. 3 star systems are currently suffering from an outbreak. Millions are dying. This medicine can save them. Whispers spread through the chamber. We didn't come here with weapons, Una said. We came with cures. We came with food crops that can grow in hostile environments. We came with technology for surviving disasters. Everything that made our world terrible also taught us how to help others survive terrible things. Lieutenant Minho stood up next. His voice was rough but sincere. I'm a soldier. I've trained my whole life to protect people. When I heard about the galaxy, you know what my first thought was? I thought, finally, more people to protect. That's all I want. That's all any of us want. Captain Taiho rose last. We could have come here with warships. We chose to come with one small vessel. We could have demanded respect. We chose to ask politely. We could have hidden what we are. We chose to be honest. He looked at General Tav. You're a military officer. You've probably calculated what would happen if we fought you. You know we would be difficult to stop, but we're not here to fight. We're here to help. That's the choice we made. General Tav stared back at Taiho for a long moment. Something passed between them. One warrior recognizing another. Slowly, Tav stood up. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew who he was. His opinion carried enormous weight. I have spent my life studying threats, Tav said. These humans are the most dangerous species I have ever seen. Every instinct tells me to fear them. Hannah's heart sank. But Tav continued, I have also studied honor. I have studied strength. And I have never seen a species with more reason to be cruel choose instead to be kind. He looked around the chamber. They could conquer us easily. They choose not to. That choice is the most powerful thing in this room. He turned to Counselor Vel. I vote to accept humanity into the Federation. Any species that survives a Deathworld and chooses peace deserves our respect. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. General Tav, the most cautious military mind in the galaxy, was supporting the humans. Counselor Vel waited for silence. Then he spoke the words that would change history. The vote will now begin. Hannah closed her eyes. Around her, thousands of hands and tentacles and appendages rose to cast their votes. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. Ambassador Hannah stood perfectly still as the votes were counted. Around her, thousands of aliens made their choices. Some raised their hands quickly, others hesitated. A few didn't vote at all, too confused or frightened to decide. The counting machines hummed and clicked. Numbers appeared on screens throughout the chamber. For a long moment, the result was too close to call. Then the final number appeared. Counselor Vel's voice echoed through the chamber. The vote is complete. By a margin of 62% in favor, humanity is accepted into the Galactic Federation. Hannah let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. Behind her, Una grabbed Minho's arm. Taiho closed his eyes and smiled. They had done it. Against all odds, they had done it. Not everyone was happy. Delegate Romo stormed out of the chamber, his wings buzzing with anger. Several other delegates followed him, but many more stayed. Some even approached the human delegation to offer careful congratulations. Counselor Vel floated down to Hannah. You understand that this changes nothing about who you are, he said. You will always be Deathworlders. Many species will always fear you. I know, Hannah said. But maybe over time, they'll learn to see us differently. Perhaps, Vel said. I hope so. Because I must admit something to you, Ambassador. In all my centuries of leading this council, I have never been more frightened of a species, he paused, or more hopeful about what they might become. 6 months passed, then a year. Then 2, the galaxy began to change. It started small. A mining colony on a high-gravity world suffered a tunnel collapse. The rescue teams couldn't enter, because the gravity would crush their bodies. They were about to give up when a human ship arrived. Lieutenant Minho led the team personally. The gravity that paralyzed other species was only slightly uncomfortable for him. He walked into the collapsed tunnel, lifted fallen rocks with his bare hands, and carried survivors out one by one. The rescue took 12 hours. Minho never stopped. He never complained. When it was over, the colony's leader asked him how he had done it. Minho shrugged and said, "On Earth, we call this a Tuesday." The phrase spread across the galaxy. Soon, whenever anyone did something impossibly difficult, they would joke that it was just a Tuesday. Dr. Eunice Medicine saved millions of lives, but she didn't stop there. She established research centers across 3 systems, studying the deadly creatures and plants of Earth to find new cures. Snake venom became heart medicine. Toxic fungi became antibiotics. The very things that made Earth a death world became the galaxy's greatest medical treasure. When asked about her work, Yuna always said the same thing. Everything that tried to kill us taught us how to survive. Now we can share those lessons with everyone. Captain Taiho was given command of a joint defense fleet. He led ships from a dozen different species, protecting trade routes and responding to emergencies. His reputation grew quickly. Pirates who once terrorized entire sectors learned to fear the name of his ship. One famous incident became legendary. A pirate fleet attacked a convoy of medical supplies. Taiho's forces moved to intercept. When the pirates saw human ships approaching, they immediately surrendered without firing a single shot. "Why didn't you fight?" The pirate captain was asked later. His answer was simple. "Have you seen what those things can do? They're from a death world. They breathe fire, gas, and drink acid. I'm crazy, not stupid." Soon, just the rumor of human involvement was enough to prevent conflicts. Peace increased across dozens of systems, but the greatest change was not in battles or medicine. It was in how people thought. The word Deathworlder had once been an insult. It meant monster. It meant danger. It meant something to be feared and destroyed. Now, it meant something else entirely. Species began to understand that humans were not frightening despite their kindness. They were kind despite having every reason to be frightening. Their strength made their gentleness more impressive, not less. A new saying emerged among the younger generation of aliens. Strong enough to destroy, wise enough to build. It was how they described the humans they were learning to admire. On the first anniversary of humanity's acceptance, a grand celebration was held at Station Prime. Every species sent representatives. The council chamber was decorated with lights and banners. Music played from 100 worlds. Ambassador Hannah stood at the central platform looking out at the crowd. So many faces. So many species. A year ago, most of them had wanted her dead. Now, they were raising glasses in her honor. She began to speak. "1 year ago, I stood in this chamber and watched many of you run away from us in terror. I understood why. We come from a world that sounds like a nightmare. We breathe what you consider poison. We play in what you call acid. Our bodies are built to survive things that would kill most species in seconds." She smiled. "But we didn't come here to be feared. We came here because we spent thousands of years alone, looking up at the stars, hoping that somewhere out there someone was looking back." She gestured to the crowd. "Now we know. You were out there. All of you. Thousands of species, billions of worlds, countless stories we had never heard, and you let us join you. Despite your fear, despite every reason to say no, you said yes. We will never forget that, and we will spend the rest of our existence trying to be worthy of your trust." She raised her glass. "To the galaxy, to friendship, to the future we will build together." 4,000 species raised their glasses in response. In the crowd, General Tav stood next to Counselor Vel. The old crystal being was flickering with colors of joy. "Do you still think they're dangerous?" Vel asked. Tav nodded. "They are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. That will never change." And yet, Tav smiled. It was an expression he rarely showed. And yet they choose to use that danger to protect others. That makes them the most valuable allies we have ever had. Across the chamber, the celebration continued. Humans danced with aliens. Old enemies became new friends. The galaxy was changing, slowly but surely. Because one strange species from a forgotten death world had chosen to be kind in his office? Archivist Quill opened Earth's file one last time. The classification had caused panic when he first read it. A death world rating of 12.4, the highest ever recorded. He looked at the final entry in the file. Under threat assessment, the old classification still remained. Extreme danger. Quill thought for a moment. Then, he deleted it. In its place, he typed a single word. Allies. He saved the file and closed it. Then he went to join the celebration. Outside the station, stars burned in the endless darkness. Somewhere among them, a small blue planet called Earth continued its endless dance around its sun. It was still a death world. It would always be a death world, but its children had become something more. They had become hope.